Welcome to the Wednesday Match Play, your weekly connection to the biggest and best brands in golf. On this show, you will learn more about the latest golf fashion trends, hear from LPGA and PGA Tour players, get advice on planning your next golf getaway, and much more. Broadcasting live from Bonita Springs, Florida, please welcome your host, on the tee, Ricky Potts.
I've known Kevin Sprecher for quite some time. There is no question he is passionate about what he does and is dedicated to growing the game of golf. On this episode of the Wednesday Match Play podcast, Kevin gives us an overview of Sleepy Hollow Country Club, their Golf Digest Top 100 ranking, his time with Jim McLean, and he explains more about his laundry list of certifications, including SAM Putt Lab and AimPoint Express. I also asked Kevin what his favorite golf movie is. Bill Murray is a member at Sleepy Hollow. Care to guess what movie he picked? This was a really fun episode for me, and I was excited to share Kevin's story. Let's jump into it. Kevin, welcome to the Wednesday Match Play podcast.
Thanks, Ricky. Looking forward to it.
So you are the director of golf instruction at Sleepy Hollow Country Club. Give us an overview of the club. It looks incredible online, and let us know a little bit more about what you do on a daily basis.
So the club was started in 1911. It's actually an old Vanderbilt mansion that was founded by 10 families. So it's been around for a long time. And we just finished a 7-year project where we renovated a lot of the golf course. Gil Hans came in and redid the course and all the greens. So it's come out really nicely. And we were just ranked by Golf Digest as in a top 100. We're number 89 in the country. So it's very exciting times at the club. My position is I'm director of instruction at the club. This will be my 17th season at Sleepy Hollow. At this time, I actually started there in the early 1990s with Jim McLean when he was the head professional. I was there for 2 years, so really it'd be 19 years there. And my job at the club is, aside from taking care of the members and the normal stuff, is developing teaching programs for adults and juniors, and that, as well as training the existing staff on teaching methods and some of the new technologies that come out every year in the industry.
Tell me more about your relationship with Jim. I know that you kind of got started working with him and worked with him for a couple of years. Tell me more about that.
I got started with Jim in 1992. I got very lucky. When I graduated Arizona State, my parents had moved from San Francisco back to the East Coast into Connecticut. And I was looking for a job in the golf industry. And one of my dad's partners, his name is Dick Cummins, was the president of Sleepy Hollow at the time. And my dad asked him for a favor to help me find a job. So Mr. Cummins asked Jim for a favor if he would hire me. And so I had an interview with Jim. I was actually also looking at Wingfoot. Wingfoot had offered me a position in the bag room to help do that. And Jim fortunately asked, the only thing he really had was to be an assistant to one of his teachers, who was Dave Collins. And so after short contemplation, I took the job with Jim, working for Dave Collins. And then I was Dave's assistant for a year. And then after that, in 1993, I was Jim's personal assistant. Every year, Jim has a personal assistant who does all of his lessons, all of his clinics, travels around with them, does really everything as right-hand man. And typically they do it for about 6 months. I did it with Jim for 3 years. So I don't know if that means I needed a little extra training or if I was that good and he wanted to keep me around. But it was an invaluable experience to be kind of on the inside of catching Jim. In 1994, Jim was the PGA National Teacher of the Year. So I got to see firsthand the kind of his skyrocketing to stardom. So I was involved in a lot going on there. And then I continued to work for Jim for about 20 years as one of his lead master instructors when I used to go back and forth between New York and Florida. So, it was just an experience that kind of set me apart from most things. It's, the training that I received from him and being around the staff that he down there. I think Jim's at one time had at least 10 different top 100 teachers work for him, which is, just being in that atmosphere at Doral and now at the Biltmore was just terrific. So it's really kind of put me on a trajectory to that you really can't find anymore, because it's hard to get a position like that with any of these big time teachers. So it was just a great experience, and I really thank him. I definitely consider Jim as one of my mentors. I've learned a lot from him. Still consult with him about a lot of different things, but he really kind of set me on my way. So it was just great for me.
Wow, that is incredible. The experiences that you've had with him and the stories that you have over the years of working with him have got to be enough for you to maybe even write a book one of these days. You were selected as the Metropolitan PGA Section Teacher of the Year. Tell me more about the Met section, which is a very popular section, and what this recognition means to you.
Yeah, it was a great honor. Wasn't really expecting it. Over the years, someone's got to nominate you for it. And since I hadn't received it at all, I figured it was just never going to happen. You never do work for the awards, but it's always nice to be recognized. And when some of your peers are getting the recognition, you wonder if it's ever your turn. And for me, it was a tremendous honor to be selected as a Section Teacher of the Year. If you look at the list of all the past winners, Jim McLean's on the list, Daryl Kessner. There's some really great names on that list of Teachers of the Year. So it was an honor to be selected. And in 2017, I was selected as a Golf Magazine Top 100, which was at the time my greatest honor. When I think being selected as a Section Teacher of the Year for me was actually even a greater honor. So it was terrific.
I really like the club's logo. Tell me the story behind the Headless Horseman.
That's it's a great story. It's the Legends of Sleepy Hollow. I don't really know too much about it except for its Ichabod Crane and the cemetery that he used to run around in is just a few miles down the street from the club. But quite honestly, sadly, I don't know the full story. I guess it's something I've just never looked into. But I'll tell you, we get some evenings at Sleepy Hollow where the light's just a little bit off, or the clouds, and a little rustling, and it sits in the back of your mind that he may come running out of the tree somewhere.
I bet that makes for some pretty epic Halloween parties for your members.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And honestly, there have been some chatter around the club about the mansion being haunted. In fact, we've heard some stories from some of the members. There's 27 rooms in the clubhouse that the members can stay in, and you hear some crazy stories about things moving around and some other things about some hauntings. Now you wonder how much of it's alcohol induced, but all of it can't be. So there's got to be some truth behind it.
It is a private club after all, and we all know how members like to drink.
Absolutely, they do like a good cocktail or two at Sleepy Hollow.
You are a Sam Putt Lab rep. Tell us a little bit more about Sam Putt Lab and how people can use it.
So the Sam Putt Lab is the Science in Motion Putt Lab, and it's a piece of technology that analyzes 27 different metrics of how the putter moves. So it's basically like an MRI for your putter, and it helps me as a teacher diagnose what's going on in a player's stroke, whether it's something going on with the shaft or if there's too much twisting in the shaft. You can actually see there's a face rotation metric where you can actually see if someone's going to start developing the yips. And I use it a lot for putting, because in putting, the stroke is obviously important, but if the putter doesn't fit the player, whether it's the shape of the hosel or how much toe weighting's in the club or the length or the lie for that matter, it can really affect the player and how they move the putter. And since the stroke is so small, they can make adjustments very easily. So I've actually seen people come in with a really bad putting technique, and it's primarily because the putter doesn't fit them. And a device like the Sam Putt Lab really diagnoses that, and then we can change it so we can compare the data. And that's what I like about it, is it provides data so I can compare what they're doing when they came there versus what they are doing, and they can see a measurable difference. So it's just an invaluable tool to help, one, for putter fittings, and two, for diagnosing things in their putting stroke that help me work on.
There are a lot of great golf movies out there. Happy Gilmore, 10 Cup. What's your favorite?
I'd say Caddyshack would be my number one, especially since Bill Murray's a member at Sleepy Hollow. But that was one of my all-time favorites. Tim Cupp's pretty good, and then the Ben Hogan movie, which is I'm drawing a blank on the name of it, but I actually saw that was actually also a good movie. And then Dead Solid Perfect with I can't remember the actor, but that was also another very good movie.
Sleepy Hollow looks like an incredible golf course, some amazing views. What are some of your favorite holes out there?
I would say the most scenic hole is number 16, which is the 150-yard par 3. It looks like an island. It's surrounded by sand overlooking the Hudson. I would say that's probably the most scenic. The other par 3 is our third hole, which Gil Hans redesigned this year, which is a fantastic green. The green looks like it's 100 years old. It's got 3 different sections to it. It's about 180 yards. It's really quite a fun hole. And then I actually like our punch bowl hole, which is the 15th hole. Before we made the changes, it was actually played as a par 5 at 515 yards, but we made some changes to the course. So now we play it as a 500-yard par 4. But the thing is, the last 40 yards drop straight down into like a punch bowl, so it doesn't play quite as long. And it's really one of the only blind shots on the course, which also makes it interesting. But it looks kind of cool because it overlooks the Hudson. So when you're there, you're looking out and all you see is the mountains, or the hills in the back and kind of the Hudson, but you can't see the green. So kind of a challenge, which I like. And it's just I think it's a great par 4 hole.
I think I need to make a trip to come see you this spring. This place just sounds amazing.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, that's just a couple of the holes. I mean, I can go through the whole course, and really, there's not a bad hole on the course. We have a great, our par 3s are some of the best that you'll see. There's four really, really good par 3s, and the teeth of the course is the par 4s. We actually have a par 4 that's actually longer than a par 5 from the tips. Our new 8th hole is 485 yards, par 4. And it's got a road hole green that Gil Hans designed to model after some of the McDonald holes. And it's, on some days when it's dry out there, I'd hit driver 8 iron into it. And when it's not so dry like it was this summer, it was a driver 3 iron. So it's a really challenging hole. And you really do need to come up and see it. It's a beautiful course that they've done a lot of nice work to. Kind of brought it back to its original design that McDonald did. What most people don't know is we were actually co-designed. At one point, we were McDonald only, and the course was finished by Seth Rayner. And then the Rockefellers brought in A.W. Tillinghast to kind of redesign some of the holes and redo some stuff. So we had a McDonald Tillinghast course at one time, which is very unique for anywhere in the country.
Fine, you've twisted my arm. I'm coming up as soon as the weather gets nice. Now, I've heard of AimPoint, but what is AimPoint Express?
So AimPoint, if you remember, you were given a chart, and on the chart, you had different pages for different stimps and different lengths. So it was very scientific, and if you knew what the length of the putt was and the stimp of the putt was and the slope of the green, which you'd measure, then it would tell you exactly how many inches to the right or to the left you'd have to aim. Problem is, for most average golfers, it was a little too complicated. So Mark Sweeney went back into the drawing board and with some of his colleagues came out with AimPoint Express, where Express is a little less precise, but if you think about it, most golfers don't even start the ball on their line anyway, so it actually works out fairly well. So now all you have to do is you don't even have to know the stimp. You don't even have to know the distance. You kind of figure out what the slope is. You go through a calibration process to learn if it's a slope of 0 through 4. And then once you figure out the slope, you hold that many fingers up at an arm's length. And let's say you're outside of 10 feet, you'll put the low side of the putt on the flagstick, and then on the high side is where your finger is. And that's kind of where it gives you a point where to aim. So that's the aim point. It takes about 8 seconds, which I find really speeds up play. And I think the biggest advantage to AimPoint is it's not that it helps you read the green, which is nice, but it tells you where to go, so you don't worry about the aiming anymore. You focus on the speed, which for most golfers is the important thing. If golfers can learn to hit the ball the correct speed and get it somewhere around the cup, they're going to eliminate 3 putts. And I think that's one of the keys to help people lower their scores.
After every tour win, it's not hard to find a blogger writing a "what's in the bag" post somewhere online. What's in your bag?
Well, I've been on Titleist staff for 14 years now, so I currently play the 718 AP3s, 3-iron down to pitching wedge, and then I use 3 Titleist Vokey wedges, and then I have a 3-wood and a driver. And then sometimes I'll interchange clubs. I actually have 16 clubs that I can choose from. I'll either put a hybrid in or a fairway wood in and take out a wedge. And then I use a Scotty Cameron putter. And I play the new Pro V1. And I'm actually excited that they're coming out with the Pro V1 in yellow, because that yellow ball's so much easier for me to see now that I'm getting older.
Pro V1 is the best ball that I've found. I've tried 4 or 5 others, and nothing spins the way that a Pro V1 does.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the best ball in golf.
You have a lot of different certifications. We could ramble them off. It's one after another. How do you decide what to get certified in, and are there any new certifications that you're working on?
No new certifications. I've kind of have what I need right now. I decide on what to get certified in if I feel like it's going to help me help my students get better. So whether it's AimPoint or Putt Lab or the most recent one would be the Swing Catalyst certification, because I bought a Swing Cat last year. Swing Catalyst is a device that measures pressure and ground reaction force on the ground, that a player does. So it helps me diagnose a little bit deeper on how the player uses their body. But the certifications, I find, they just help me gain more knowledge, which gives me more tools to help me get my students get better faster.
The PGA Show had a lot of really good press this year. I'm sad that I wasn't there. I live in Florida now, and it's not even possible for me to get up there for a couple of days. Speaking of Vokey, I saw you hanging out with Vokey. What was the experience like meeting him and spending time with him? And did you have a good time at the show this year?
Yeah, Mr. Vokey was terrific. I actually got to spend more time with him this past spring, where Titleist brought him up for a day where we did a kind of a member event where some of the local pros brought a couple of members over, and Mr. Vokey talked to us about himself and his history and wedge design, and he talked about the new Titleist SM7 wedges and some of the changes that he made. So when I was at the show, it was nice that he actually remembered me. Mr. Vokey's getting up there in age, but he's a very sharp guy. Remembers everybody really from just watching his interactions, and it was just nice to catch up with him and see how he's doing. And he asked how I was doing and how all the Titleist stuff's going. So it was nice. The PGA Show for me, it's changed over the years. I was thinking back when I got there. I think this was my 25th or 26th straight PGA Show, and it's interesting to see how it changes over the years. Right now, for me, it's more of going to some educational events to learn more about what's going on in different parts of the industry, and it's a lot of networking for me now. Seeing friends that aren't locals, meeting some new friends, catching up with some of the products that I'm an ambassador with, like the Foresight Quad and the Swing Catalyst are both products that I'm an ambassador. So I went to some of their meetings to talk about future software upgrades and what's going on in the industry, and then just seeing some of the new products that are being developed by all the different manufacturers and see what's out there, just to try to stay ahead of the curve on what's going on. Because as you know, Ricky, technology is moving so fast nowadays, and even in our industry, so it's just hard to keep up.
Besides Sleepy Hollow, what's your favorite golf course? You have a lot of really good golf courses near you.
There's 2 ways to put it. My favorite course that I want to play every day is actually San Francisco golf. I got to play there last year. I could just play that course every day. It was so much fun. The courses out here by me that I really enjoy are Shinnecock. I'm not sure I want to play it every day. It was pretty tough when last time I played it. Really enjoy Friars Head out in the Hamptons. Some of the local courses around here, I have a friend over at Fenway Country Club, which they call the Little Wingfoot, and that course is always in terrific shape, and it's just a fun golf course. And actually, it happens to be that Sleepy Hollow and Fenway are going to host the 2023 U.S. Mid Amateur, and then we're going to be the match play course. So it's kind of exciting for us.
So I think I need to plan a long weekend to come up there and see you. We'll play your place. We'll go to a couple of others. It sounds like there's a lot of really good places to check out in your neighborhood.
Yeah, you'd probably need about a month of straight, to be up here to even make a dent in all the great golf courses in the area.
You've worked with several LPGA and PGA Tour players. Who are some of the tour players that you've worked with over the years, and what kind of success have you had with those tour players?
Well, being Jim's assistant for as long as I have and being around him, I got exposed to a lot of players. And, when we had the event down at Doral, we had a double-sided range, and a lot of the players like to come to our side because it was just away from the public and the media. So I got to work with players extensively with Tom Kite, especially Kite won the Open in '92, and when Jim wasn't around, he sought me out, so I got to spend lots of time with Tom and listen to the stories of him working with Mr. Penick and everything. Got an opportunity to work with Brad Faxon a lot. I worked with Brad in the mid 2000s. I think it was his last tour victory when he went up at Hartford. So that was kind of exciting. Got a chance to work with Lisa Neumann a little bit. She was I think her first tournament win was the U.S. Open, and Christy Kerr, who Jim worked with a lot. I wouldn't say I worked with her. I spent some time with her, and she's worked with some of my friends over the years, and she's always great to talk to and super intense, just a great competitor. And currently, I work with Peter Jacobson, who does more broadcasting than anything, but Jake, back in the 90s, used to come over and we'd do a little bit of work, and he worked with some other coaches too. I just was fortunate to be at a time where I was at a place where a lot of tour players came, and I was working for Jim, so I had a name recognition, and got to meet a lot of these young guys, or who back then were young guys, and who are now more of the senior tour players.
Let's say a beginner is listening to this podcast and wants to start playing golf. How would you recommend that he or she gets started? Do they go to the store and buy clubs? Do they get fit? Do they get a lesson? It could be overwhelming. How would you recommend that a beginner gets started?
Yeah, it's definitely overwhelming. I would suggest not to buy clubs. Maybe get some shoes and a golf glove, and then go to a PGA professional, or an LPGA professional for that matter, and take some lessons. I would start out with some one-on-one lessons at first, see how it goes, and then join a clinic. So you get some supervised practice time. So you get to kind of learn, some of the basics. That golf's a game where what you learn first really kind of sets you off, and if you get the wrong fundamentals down, it kind of sticks with you for a long time. And I would say that my greatest advice to someone starting out the game is just be patient. It's a hard game. You're trying to swing a club around your body. The club head travels about 32 feet at 90 miles an hour, and you're trying to hit a spot on a club head about the size of a pinhead on a ball that's 1.68 inches to a hole that's 400 yards, and it's only 4 inches. So if they ever watch the Robin Williams on golf, have them take a look at that. Have them Google that on YouTube and take a look. And it's a hard game. So you just, have some patience with it. Start with, I always start out my beginners with short shots. We can hit some putts, then do some little chipping just to make contact, get a feel for the club, and then kind of work into the long swing. I think beginning golfers will have a little bit more fun and some success with the game that way.
You sit on the Met Section PGA Education Board. What are some of the current trends you're seeing in education, and what are your duties sitting on the board?
So some of the trends nowadays are it's a lot more social media. Actually, this year we just had a guy come in early January and talk about how to utilize social media to bump up your presence out there, to get more followers, to increase your lessons. And it was one of the largest attended wintertime education meetings that we've ever had. There was over 40 PGA pros there. So I kind of see that kind of stuff coming along more, where it's either social media. We get a lot of requests for motor learning instructors and sports psychology stuff. I think education nowadays is going more on the mental side of the game for everyone. The actual physical instruction has been around so long. There's so many avenues that way that it's much easier. So I'm seeing that. And my job on the education committee is to help bring ideas to the chairman to utilize some of my connections within the industry to help bring people in for the section that they normally wouldn't get to go see.
Everyone listening at home knows that I am a huge Tiger Woods fan. Do you think he breaks Jack's record? Why or why not?
I'm a huge Tiger Woods fan too. He's done amazing things for the game. He's done amazing things for the teaching industry. He's just a phenomenal. He brings so much energy to it. I don't think Tiger is going to break the record, though. I don't think his body's going to be able to hold up to win 4 more majors or 5 majors to break the record. I would have loved to see him do it, but I just think his body's just not going to be able to hold up long enough for him to be able to do it.
What's next for Kevin Sprecher and Sleepy Hollow Country Club?
Well, we're looking forward to the 2019 season. We've got a new staff coming in. We've had some people move on and get some head pro jobs and some other stuff. So I'm looking forward to training the new staff on what we do. And they're all much younger than I am, so they bring in a great energy. So we're going to change our junior programs at Sleepy Hollow and try to promote more within that. And then for me personally, I'm trying to do more in the social media space and promote myself and get out there and see what's going on and hopefully do more talking. One of the things that I really enjoy is teaching the teacher. So I'm looking to do some more mentoring this year, do some more talks and seminars to help other coaches get better. And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to this year.
In golf, the 19th hole is a slang term for a bar or a restaurant near the golf course, very often in the clubhouse itself. There are a lot of great places to have a drink in New York. What's your favorite 19th hole, and what are you drinking?
I would say our favorite 19th hole is the one right at the club because it overlooks the Hudson River. You grab a drink and sit right outside and look over the 18th hole and the Hudson there. And I'm a beer guy. I like a good Heineken Light or an Amstel Light just to kind of hang out and look at the sunset over the Hudson. And that's kind of like, talk with the members about golf. And that's where I enjoy my 19th hole.
So as soon as the weather gets nice, the snow melts, let's plan a long weekend and I'll fly up and we'll play some golf. How's that sound?
You got it. You just let me know when you're coming.
Kevin, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was awesome to learn more about you and your role at Sleepy Hollow. I'm always a big fan of what you're doing online. So to your point about social media, keep it up. You're doing an incredible job with it, and you're very present on Twitter, and I love the video content that you've been creating recently as well. So keep it up. There's no question that's going to help drive some more business your way. The last time I saw you was actually in Naples on the driving range here at Tiburon Golf Club, and we didn't get the chance to play when you were in town, but maybe the next time that I see you, it'll be on the first tee.
That puts this installment of the Wednesday Match Play in the books. But we'll be back next week for another exciting episode of the show. As always, remember to eat, sleep, golf.